Welcome, friends. Forget about silky words and soothing melodies. Today we will come face to face with the challenges and contradictions that hide behind what seems to be resilience. Are you ready to find out why caring too much about others, or even striving for control, can be a trap? And how can the fear of failure become a fuel for your growth, rather than a barrier? Hold on tight. We will crack the code of Stoic wisdom and see how these persistent principles can turn your outlook on life around. Get ready for a dose of intrigue and incredible discoveries. Too much concern for others. Stoicism emphasizes the importance of maintaining emotional balance and inner peace, not allowing external circumstances and other people's actions to affect well-being too much. This does not mean ignoring the needs of others, but implies a more sensible and balanced approach. Stoics believe that emotions, especially excessive concern for others, can disrupt the mind and lead to restlessness. The focus is on what we can control, our reactions and actions, rather than constantly caring about what is beyond our control. Examples can be excessive concern for the problems of others, which leads to preoccupation with thoughts about how to help, or excessive responsibility for other people's actions, leading to worries and guilt. To follow this principle, it is important to distinguish between spheres of influence, focus on changing what is in our control, and respect the boundaries of responsibility. This includes the practice of accepting uncertainty and a conscious approach to caring for others while maintaining inner harmony. Following the principles of Stoicism in caring for others also involves developing the skill of accepting uncertainty. This means realizing that it is not always possible to help or control the world around you. Developing this skill helps to avoid unnecessary stress associated with trying to change something that lies beyond our capabilities. An important aspect is also the ability to take care of others with respect for one's own boundaries. Defining areas of responsibility and keeping from going beyond them contributes to a more conscious and balanced approach to helping others. The exclusion of excessive care for others does not mean indifference to others. Rather, Stoicism calls for a responsible and balanced attitude towards supporting others, based on a reasonable understanding of our capabilities and boundaries. With these principles in mind, it is possible to create a more stable emotional foundation, avoid excessive care that can lead to anxiety, and instead bring support with a sense of wisdom and awareness. Ultimately, following Stoic principles in the field of caring for others helps to maintain inner peace and harmony in the unpredictable flow of life. The inability to say no. In Stoicism, it is important to understand that the inability to say no can become an obstacle to inner harmony and emotional balance. Stoics teach us to set boundaries and show determination in making decisions. In the context of our daily lives, this means that we must consciously choose what we agree to and what we refuse. If we are always ready to take on new responsibilities, this can lead to overloading and deterioration of the quality of the work performed. Real-life examples may include situations where, due to a lack of the ability to say no, we waste time on self-development or find ourselves in situations that do not meet our goals. To follow the Stoic principle of not being able to say no, it is important to clearly define your priorities and learn to distinguish the important from the secondary. This will help us make informed decisions and maintain inner harmony. In our daily lives, the inability to say no can be a source of many problems. When we don't know how to refuse, we risk overloading with responsibilities, wasting personal time and energy on unimportant things. The principles of Stoicism remind us of the importance of freedom of choice and responsibility for our own actions. If we constantly agree to everything, even when it does not correspond to our goals and principles of life, we can lose control of ourselves. Instead of responding to every request with an unconditional yes, it is worth considering how well this request corresponds to our goals and plans. Saying no in such cases is not a manifestation of unwillingness to help, but rather a manifestation of responsibility to oneself. Developing the ability to say no requires us to be clear in defining our goals and the ability to defend them. It is important to remember that saying no in certain situations is not selfishness, but the desire to maintain a balance between your needs and the desires of others. Ultimately, the ability to say no helps us build more conscious and balanced relationships with others and with ourselves. Waiting for gratitude. Well, the expectation of gratitude, according to Stoic principles, can become a source of emotional difficulties and even disappointment. Stoics teach us to let go of expectations from other people and appreciate our own actions, regardless of whether we get recognition for them or not. It often happens in our lives that we expect gratitude or recognition for our actions. However, when these expectations are not met, it can cause disappointment and even a negative impact on our emotional state. The principles of Stoicism remind us that we cannot control the reactions of other people, and our goal should be to do good deeds solely out of our own wisdom and kindness, and not for the sake of external recognition. Instead of waiting for gratitude, it is worth striving for inner satisfaction from what we do. By taking responsibility for our emotions and evaluating our actions, we free ourselves from dependence on external recognition. This approach allows us to build more stable and harmonious relationships with others and maintain inner joy, regardless of whether we receive gratitude for our actions or not. Avoiding conflicts. In the context of Stoicism, conflict avoidance can be considered as a strategy that does not always benefit. Stoics call for a more informed approach to conflict based on wisdom and reason. According to Stoic principles, overcoming fear, Stoics teach that avoiding conflict due to fear or uncertainty can lead to missing opportunities to solve problems and develop. Protecting your values. They also stress the importance of protecting their values and principles, even if this implies the possibility of conflict. In everyday life, fear of rejection. Conflict avoidance may be related to the fear of rejection or dissatisfaction of others. Lack of boundaries. Some of us may avoid conflict due to a lack of clear boundaries and fear of being misunderstood. To follow the Stoic principle in this context, it is important to develop effective communication skills, the ability to set boundaries, and resolve differences with respect for oneself and others. This allows you to approach conflicts with understanding, focus on solving the problem, and not on avoiding trouble. Suppression of one's own needs. In Stoicism, this can be viewed as a potential obstacle to inner harmony and wisdom. Stoics emphasize the importance of a balance between taking care of oneself and others. According to the principles of Stoicism, it is important to pay attention to your needs and show self-compassion in order to achieve inner harmony. The balance between satisfying one's needs and caring for others is a key element of wisdom. In everyday life, suppressing one's own needs can lead to loss of balance and overwork. Taking care of your needs is a manifestation of taking care of yourself and forming a healthy balance. In order to follow Stoic principles in this context, it is important to strive for harmony, pay attention to your needs, and at the same time take care of others in order to create a basis for inner balance and wisdom. In the field of suppressing our own needs, Stoicism instructs us not to forget about ourselves in an effort to help others. Sometimes, drowning in caring for the needs of others, we lose our inner balance and harmony. Stoics emphasize the importance of self-compassion, the ability to treat oneself with understanding and compassion. Taking care of one's needs is not a manifestation of selfishness, but on the contrary, the key to a long-term ability to benefit others. In everyday life, suppressing one's own needs can lead to excessive stress, fatigue, and even frustration with one's own efforts. Self-care is a health-bearing foundation on which the ability to provide support and assistance to others is built. Following Stoic principles in this aspect requires an awareness of the balance between one's own needs and caring for others. The desire for control. Within the framework of Stoicism, this can become a source of anxiety and suffering. Stoics teach us to focus on what we can control rather than wasting energy on things that are beyond our control. In Stoic principles, it is important to distinguish between what we can change and what lies beyond our control. We are also instructed to accept uncertainty and the fact that we cannot always control the outside world. In everyday life, the desire for control can cause anxiety, especially in situations where we cannot influence what is happening. Understanding the boundaries of influence helps to avoid the frustrations associated with trying to change uncontrollable circumstances. To follow Stoic principles in this aspect, it is important to master the art of accepting uncertainty, focusing on what we can control, our reactions, choices, and actions. This allows you to avoid unnecessary anxiety and stress, maintaining inner resilience in the changeable flow of life. In the search for control, we sometimes lose sight of the basic principles of Stoicism. The Stoics taught us that true power lies not in manipulating external circumstances, but in wisely perceiving and accepting them. The desire to control everything and everything can lead to constant anxiety and a sense of helplessness when the outside world is beyond our control. By accepting uncertainty and realizing that some aspects of life are beyond our control, we free ourselves from the burden of dealing with uncontrollable events. This does not mean giving up responsibility, but on the contrary, the realization that we control our reactions and choices in response to the world around us. In everyday life, this means learning to let go of something that lies beyond our influence and focus on what we can change. This approach creates the basis for inner steadfastness and balance in conditions of variability, which is an important aspect of Stoic philosophy. Comparison with others. The Stoics taught us to value our path and focus on personal development rather than constant comparison with others. In the context of Stoic principles, focus on your path. Stoics emphasize the importance of developing personal qualities and your own inner world instead of striving for external recognition. Accepting uniqueness, they instruct us to accept ourselves for who we are and to be aware of our uniqueness. In everyday life, anxiety about insufficiency, comparing with others can lead to feelings of inadequacy and dissatisfaction. Loss of self-worth, constant juxtaposition can make it difficult to see and appreciate your unique qualities. In order to follow Stoic principles in this aspect, it is important to redirect attention from external measures to internal ones. This implies recognition of one's values, goals, and uniqueness, regardless of external comparisons. By focusing on our own path and development, we can achieve a deeper level of satisfaction and inner peace. Fear of failure. In Stoicism, this fear is seen as an obstacle to wisdom and well-being. The Stoics taught us not to be afraid of mistakes and failures, but to perceive them as an opportunity for growth and learning. Within the framework of Stoic principles, accepting uncertainty is the key. The Stoics instruct us to accept failure as a natural part of life and not allow fear to deny ourselves attempts. They also emphasize the importance of focusing on the process and learning from failures, not just on the end results. In everyday life, the fear of failure can become an obstacle to realizing potential and achieving goals. Adopting Stoic principles helps to overcome fears and see failures as an opportunity for growth. To follow the Stoic teachings in this aspect, it is important to get rid of the irrational fear of failure, realizing that it is not the end of the path, but only a stage on the path to wisdom and personal development. An experience-based and growth-oriented approach helps to overcome fears. One of the key principles of Stoicism is the acceptance of uncertainty. This means understanding that failures are inevitable, and it is important not to let fear deprive us of the will to act. Stoics claim that it is in situations of failure that we have the opportunity to learn, grow, and become better. Focusing on the process, not just the results, also plays a key role. Stoics teach us to appreciate the efforts put into the path to success, even if the end result does not meet expectations. At the same time, the process itself becomes a valuable lesson and a means of personal development. In everyday life, the fear of failure can stop us halfway to our goals. However, recognizing that failures are a part of life and using them as a tool for growth helps overcome this fear. This approach allows us to develop and become resilient in the face of uncertainty, which is an important element of Stoic wisdom.